Good to go. Good evening and welcome to a regular Lawrence City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, December 21st, 2021. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Vice President LaPlante.
Here.
Councilor Rodriguez. Councilor Dela Cruz.
Present.
Councilor Payano.
Present.
Councilor Rodriguez.
Present.
Councilor Abdu.
Present.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Present.
Councilor Anna Levy is absent. Councilor Estela Reyes is absent. President Vasquez.
Present. Please join me for a moment of silence. Thank you. Now please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Councilors, I have a couple of minutes that need to be approved. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from November 16, 2021, December 2nd, 2021, and December 7th, 2021?
So move.
Motion has been
Second.
made, and it has been properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing there's none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Now moving on to public participation. Please note that you will have 2.5 minutes to address the City Council. Please identify yourself with your name and address for the record. Do not address any individual councilors, address the City Council as a whole. First person, Mr. H. Malley.
Humayun Mali, 53 Chester Street. Good evening, honorable members. In this wonderful season of joy, we demand of you support Lawrence Police Union, our police department with the impeccable leadership by Honorable Chief Roy Vask has done an excellent job to protect our citizens. The best contract for Lawrence Police now, in appreciation of our police department and the union, we must declare the day of the September 13 each year the day of the police appreciation. Million thanks to our hard-working DPW worker behind you and support you and your leadership. Lawrence Public School with the impeccable leadership by Honorable Superintendent Cynthia Paris moving forward. Our best Lawrence Teachers Union now need the best contract for our teachers. We the citizens are united to demand from Lawrence Teachers Alliance and the new mayor demand the best contract for our teachers. Thank you for all your hard work. We demand from the new Lawrence Teachers Alliance compensation and support for Lawrence Public School paraprofessional. In these dark days of the pandemic, citizens are disappointed with the work of Massachusetts Attorney General Maura Haley. Remember your campaign promise, save Lawrence, prosper Lawrence, only possible if we have a contract for Lawrence Police. Our city, a city of the strong and united, support Lawrence Teachers Union in those collective bargaining. We demand the best compensation for Lawrence Public School paraprofessional with the best good health, wishes of the prosperity for all the citizens in our city and this great nation. And for you, honorable members, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Malley. Next person, Dick Russell.
Good evening, councilors. My name's Dick Russell, resident of 34 Cross Street. Several things this evening. First, a big hats off to the several councilors who are departing to pursue other agendas after contributing to the city for various periods of time. Thank you for trying your best to improve the city. Second, when is the city going to establish at least one more COVID-19 walk-in testing site? Those that need to be tested, mainly the older residents in the city, should not be forced to stand in line for about an hour during the coldest part of the year. If a resident were to catch pneumonia and die from it, would their death be counted as a COVID-related death? Third, has anyone noticed the cosmetic surgery being performed on the new abutment walls at the Parker Street Railroad overpass? The cracks appear to be on either side of the bearing pads that the bridge rests on. But what more can you expect from the low bid winner on a government contract? I see that one of the advocates for agenda item 28821 is amongst the missing. Regarding the agenda item, my thoughts are still the same. That is, if you can attend outside social functions, you can darn well attend council meetings for which you are being paid. My thoughts, half pay for hybrid meetings. Lastly, I want to wish all of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I hope that whoever delivers presents to your house delivers a big box of good judgment to all of you. I will see 7 plus the 2 new councilors, weather permitting, on January 3rd at your swearing-in ceremony. As always, I thank you for the time to address you.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. I am now submitting these names to the record. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving on, committee reports. Document 28721. Mr. Chair, from the Budget and Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Budget and Finance Committee sent up document number 28721 in order to expend grant funds for DPH equitable approaches to the public safety grants from EAPS for $450,000. This motion was sent up to the full council with a favorable recommendation, and they make that in the form of a motion.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing there's none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The clerk is suggesting a roll call, given that it's an appropriation. Okay.
Vice President LaPlante,
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez,
Yes.
Councilor De La Cruz,
Yes.
Councilor Payano,
Yes.
Councilor Abdu,
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes,
Yes.
Councilor Levy is absent, Councilor Estela Reyes is absent, President Vasquez.
My vote is yes. Just for clarification purpose, this is a grant, not an appropriation transfer, councilors. Moving on, we have document 28221. Mr. Chair, from the Personnel Committee, from the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. The committee on a whole sent up this document, document 28221, a contractor renewal to City Attorney Raquel Romano to the full council as a committee report, and to make that in the form of a motion.
There's a motion on the floor to approve
Second.
as a committee report. It's been properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing there's none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Councilors, any further motions?
Motion to approve contract, the renewal for contract to the city solicitor, Raquel Ruano.
Motion has
As
been
presented.
made.
Second.
Motion has been made and it has been properly seconded.
Discussion?
Any discussion? Mr. Vice President?
Thank you, Mr. President. We have been provided documentation or opinion by the city attorney regarding the procedure by which we should go ahead and do this. One of the highlights of at least one of the first steps is that Mr. Hooton, the city attorney, told us in his memo that this required it to go before the Personnel Committee. And I don't believe that has gone before the Personnel Committee. Right, so is it, and I believe that there was some opinions that the council president sent that to the Personnel Committee, which was in order according to the city attorney. So this thing is still in the Personnel Committee.
Okay.
Council President, I'd like to make a motion, if you're still in the Personnel Committee, someone remind me which rule, is it Rule 4? Make a motion to suspend Rule 4 and to take up this matter.
Okay, motion has been made to suspend Rule 4
Second.
to discharge document
Second the
28221 from the Personnel Committee.
That is right.
Discussion.
Discussion. It's been second. Discussion, Council Vice President.
Council President, has the meeting been posted for the Personnel Committee that would have this as a document, as an agenda item?
The meeting has not been posted to my understanding, no.
So the Personnel Committee has not convened, has never held a meeting, yet we're discharging something that has never really been before the Personnel Committee. Is that accurate?
That is the motion on the floor.
I would question whether or not it would be in order to entertain this without having the Personnel Committee actually having had the document to be able to review it. The motion, the idea behind these committees are to do the work. We oftentimes discharge it, but we, at least in my memory, we have never discharged something that the committee has never had a chance to discuss.
There's precedent in other items that have been discharged for which committee have not had the opportunity to meet in the past.
Through you, Mr. Chair.
Council President, would you happen to know what items those could have been?
I cannot recall off the top of my head today. I do have three councilors lined up with questions. Councilor Payano, Councilor de la Cruz, Councilor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Council President. I'm just going to read the letter from City Attorney Houghton. Is the referral of the President to the Personnel Committee at the meeting of the whole effective? Rule 4 of the City Council is whereas the City Charter state that the City Council President shall immediately refer to the committee, which in the opinion of the Council President has proper jurisdiction over the subject matter. This matter was referred to the Council of the whole in error. The rules are silent as to when the City Council President can correct such a referral, including at the meeting of the Council of the whole. It is, however, not specifically prohibited. The next point. At the next City Council meeting, can the City Council President refer this matter to the Personnel Committee and then have the City Council discharge the committee? If we read Attorney Houghton's message, it sounds like the City Council President has already referred the matter to the Personnel Committee. So the question is, can we discharge the committee? What he states is, under Rule 11, no committee shall be discharged of a matter pending before that committee unless 6 or more members of the council consent thereto. So upon a motion to discharge the Personnel Committee of this matter, together with the positive vote of 6 members of the council could, if they desired, discharge the matter from the committee, and then the matter could then be taken up by the entire council for a discussion and vote. So it sounds like from what Attorney Houghton is mentioning, we could at this time discharge the matter and take up the vote right now, as long as 6 councilors approve.
Okay, I have Councilor de la Cruz and then Councilor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Council President. I think we have worked very hard to discuss the different points that we wanted to address in this contract, and I think it's really fair of all the changes that we already did. I think we even suggested some modification to the petitioner, and everything seems to work in the favor of the city and with all the respect to the person who is applying to this position to renovate her contract. In another words, I think we did a good job to request all the little points that we need to change in her contract, and it was done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Council President. For those up there that are at home watching us, and for the public that is here tonight, it is important to mention that the Committee of the Whole have discussed item 28221, and it is important for people to know that the Committee of the Whole for the City Council of the City of Lawrence is all of the City Councils are members of that committee. The reason behind why this item was sent over to the Committee of the Whole it was for the purpose of the discussion and all the councilors have some input. During that meeting, it is important to recognize that we went into the executive section to discuss this matter, this contract for the city attorney. During that executive section, we discussed the contract. It is also important to recognize that there was some discussion in public for this matter at the Committee of the Whole, where the majority of the City Council was present, and this committee was presided by the City Council Vice President, Councilor Mark LaPlante. And with that being said, during that meeting also, this item was committed to the Personnel Subcommittee. And based on the recommendation that it was presented to us by the city attorney, one of the city attorney, it mentioned that we can discharge this item from the Personnel Committee. It is important to recognize that we're not doing anything that is illegal. We're doing what is within our rules, what at the moment the City Council President understood that it was appropriate, sending this item to the Committee of the Whole. And we all members of this City Council were able to discuss, all members present at that meeting were able to discuss this contract and agree upon it. So I think it's fair if we call for a vote.
Okay. Any further questions or comments? Seeing there's none, there's a motion on the floor. Councilor Abdi? The discharge. Motion to discharge. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilor Estela Reyes is absent. Councilor Anna Levy is absent. Councilor Selena Reyes? Yes. Councilor David Abdu?
No.
Councilor Pavel Payano?
Yes.
Councilor Maria Dela Cruz?
Yes.
Councilor Giovanni Rodriguez?
Yes.
Councilor Mark LaPlante?
No.
President Vasquez?
My vote is yes, the motion fails. Okay. So the document continues in the Personnel Committee. We do have another motion, which is to approve the renewal of the contract.
Motion, I would like to amend my motion by,
Withdraw,
no, I would like to amend it,
okay?
possible.
Councilor
Motion to
Rodriguez?
approve pending the report from the Personnel Committee.
Second.
Motion to parliamentary inquiry, Mr. President. What is the underlying motion?
The motion made by Councilor Rodriguez, which has been amended, original motion was to approve document 28221. It has now been amended to approve document 28221 pending a recommendation from the Personnel Committee.
Discussion. This motion has been properly seconded. Discussion?
The motion has been properly seconded.
Discussion?
Yeah.
I just want to take this time, Council President, to say that the reasons why I'm at all offering any kind of resistance to this is not because of the city attorney applicant who looks to renew. When the vote comes next year for this, I firmly plan on supporting the candidate who is before us this evening. I think that she has done a very good job. I'm happy with her work. I think that we as a city, I think that the contract, when it gets there, will be a fair contract. And I think that having someone of her experience has been very good. Mm-hmm. That is my intent. My concern, however, is that we have two new city councilors coming on board. We have Councilor-elect Stephanie Infante and Councilor-elect Gregory Del Rosario. These are two individuals that are going to be working with the city attorney for the next 2 years. No offense to the current city council, but this term is expiring in less than 2 weeks. The councilors who are going to be utilizing the city attorney's office will be the new city council that will be convening in about 2 weeks. It seems to me as though, after evaluating and reviewing the timelines that we asked the city attorney to give us during the last meeting, that we could certainly be able to go ahead and conduct the business in its normal course of action and still allow the new city councilors to have a chance to ask the questions, for the city attorney to be able to answer the questions, and for all of us to understand more fully all the fantastic things and the challenges and whatever is of interest that we could have with the city attorney. There will be no jeopardy to this process if we were to wait until the new council convenes. We asked for the timeline. We know that we can meet on the second meeting and perhaps even in January, and perhaps even the first meeting in February, and still get that. Meanwhile, Councilors Infante, Councilor-elect Infante, and Councilor-select Del Rosario, out of fairness to them, will have an opportunity to be able to ask questions and participate in a vote. They will now be invested by a vote in this city attorney for at least 2 years. So I just want to urge my colleagues. I don't fully understand the haste in getting this. I think that there is time, and I do want to provide our new city councilors that courtesy of allowing them an opportunity to do it. That's just my opinion on this. Of course, I'm eager to hear what others have to say on it, but at this point, I don't even know why we would even have to adopt this motion, which would have this presumption clause that we presume that once it comes over that we have another vote on it sometime. I don't know when that's happening. Why not just have the committee have it, and let's do this in January. Thank you, Council President.
Councilor Payano.
Thank you, Council President. So, the people of this city elected us 2 years ago to fill a term. That term is over in January 3rd. We have business in front of us today. We've had business in front of us for the last several weeks. There are several items today that I'm sure if I was a new council member, I would also want to have an opinion on. I mean, that's why folks ran for office, because they want to have an opinion on what we do and the business that we currently do. We just approved a $450,000 grant that is a program that's going to be with us for 5 years. I am sure that the other council members would have wanted to have an opinion on that and have a vote on that, and I completely understand that. I think that the proper way of handling this matter, if you believe that we should take this up at some other time, is making a motion to table. From what and again, it's my own opinion, and I think all of us councils have different views on certain things, but I think that we are holding up this business purely on a technical matter. If the question before us was that there were the city council president had put it in error in a different committee where there were 4 councilors that were not part of the personnel committee, and those 4 councilors had engaged in conversation, but the 4 members of the personnel committee weren't a part of it, I think that would be a different matter altogether. What we're talking about is that the city council met as a whole. The members of the personnel committee were there. We conducted the business of the city. We had a discussion, a very good discussion. We have the items in front of us today, and I believe that matter we should do the work that we were elected on. I mean, if that's the case, then why even have a meeting today? We can just postpone all of this until the next city council meeting. I think that for those that would like to take this up at a future meeting, I think that is an opinion that any council member can have, and there's a proper way of trying to do that. Make a motion to table. If it passes, great, then we take it up at a future meeting. If it doesn't, then let's move forward with this motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn has been made. Is there a second? Motion dies due to the lack of a second. Councilor de la Cruz?
Yes. I would like to second the opinion that if I die today, somebody had to replace Maria de la Cruz. The work that we had to do today is the work that we have to really put attention to. I think that if we are happy with somebody who is doing a good job for us, for the city, I think it will be a very beautiful, nice Christmas gift that that person can go home with the idea that she has a job, that we are happy with her, that we wanted to keep her. Let's say that somebody wanted to offer her something more than what we're paying. We can lose her because her contract is closed and she can go to another city, to another place. Then we need somebody that we already know. It doesn't matter who's coming. She's not going to be a stranger for the new city councilors that are coming. They know who she is. They've been noticing the work that she has done in the community, and that's what I like about her, that she's already here. She's listening to me anytime. I've been calling at any different time, and she's always willing to answer my call. And why not? We're not talking about a stranger. We're talking about a person that we wanted to keep and that we wanted to have. And voting for her is saying thank you for serving the community so well. Not taking sides, always being straight in what we need, in what we ask. That's what we need in this community. We don't need people who are a stranger to us, and we don't need people who are not doing the job. Every time I call, I get an answer. And I'm asking my colleagues to understand that we don't need to lose this person at this time, but we are at risk at this moment. And it's not fair to her because she has been serving, and to us in the community because we already trusted that person. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor de la Cruz. Any further questions or comments? Councilor Abdu?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would open by assuring those present this evening that I support the work of Raquel Ruano, who is our city attorney. What we haven't discussed tonight, we've had some points made, many of which I do not support. But what we haven't talked about is the terms of this contract. We sent it up without a recommendation, and there are several terms in that we haven't taken the time to discuss. That's of concern to me. There are items that we could discuss, and we probably should discuss, or at least a motion should be made or should be incorporated in the motion so that, A, this was a hastily arranged circumstance. We made decisions essentially in executive session. We've made a series of motions this evening. We're about ready to pass it, judging by body language and comments. And I, for one, will not support it this evening because we haven't discussed the specifics. And I do feel that I'm probably in the minority, so therefore, I regret that this conversation in the last meeting in December is about process, and it does seem hasty. But I do believe that the next council hopefully will take these things a little bit more procedurally. I think discussing salaries at this extent and vacations to this extent are things that should be discussed publicly. We did it with the clerk, and we did it with other positions. And I regret that because, if this were to pass this evening, it would not be unanimous. And I believe it lacked process, and I have these reservations. And I do concur with Councilor LaPlante that, it is something that the next the next council is going to have to make at least 2 reviews of the salary as called for in the proposed contract. So whoever the next president is will choose an ad hoc committee to do what you've done the last 3 years, Mr. President. So I do hope some consideration is given to tabling it. And I do hope that, or this evening we call for an adjournment has happened, it wasn't seconded, let's do our work, then maybe we should roll up our sleeves and talk about the contract in public tonight and on TV, because I don't believe anyone spoke at the Committee on the Whole from the public. There's not a public hearing. And I will just, I'll conclude my comments there.
Thank you, Councilor Abdi.
Council President?
I have Councilor Reyes.
Thank you, Councilor President Vasquez. I think this conversation is not fair because we spend a lot of time for the Secretary Committee, and we discuss the contract, we making question. Ms. Ruano's asking the question, and you have some confused. We request the document supposed to be the highlighted with the changes. They submitted on time. She's sending on time. We're supposed to read it before I came today. And I think it's not fair. We extended for the next council meeting because we already had the question we discussed. We spent more than 2 hours last weekend, and I don't understand right now what is the concern and what question you have, because you can do today. We have Mr. Tumin today, and maybe he can ask in any question you guys have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Payano.
Thank you, Council President, and thank you, Councilor Abdu, for bringing up a really good point, which is while we did discuss in the contract in the Committee of the Whole, this discussion has been about procedure. It sounded like to me that the issue was not the contract in itself, that the issue was that it didn't go in, the ordinary way. I think that regardless of what happens here, it would be good just to put on the record for everyone that's listening, for them that and weren't able to listen to the Committee of the Whole. One, check out the Committee of the Whole, because I think at the end of the Committee of the Whole, the last part was open discussion on the items that were in the contract. But just in case that part wasn't open to the public, it's important to know that there's 3 big changes here. The change number 1 is just the contract date, that it's made as of December 21st, and basically it's a 3-year contract that starts March 19th, 2022. The other big item is that the salary will now be $137,000. We discussed in the last meeting that essentially that's a 3% raise as of what it is now. On top of that, the other change is that Attorney Ruano would be entitled to 30 days annual vacation. I think Attorney Ruano was at 25, and we are increasing it to 30. So those are the 3 big changes within this contract. It's all highlighted. The terms that we were discussing, that we spent a long time discussing, it turned out, from what we understood from the discussion from Attorney Ruano, that those terms were in error, and it was not her intention for her to put those terms there. Those terms have been removed. So this is a pretty clean contract, clean in the sense that the only amendments are the dates of the contract, that there's an increase of salary, and it's a 3% increase. I don't think a 3% increase is not a huge increase, and that there's now Attorney Ruano is entitled to 30 days. I believe that the big argument that we had was whether it should be so it's 30 days vacation and then 3 days a personal day, so entitled to 33 days. There was discussion at the Committee of the Whole whether it should be 25 days of vacation and 5 days for personal days. So, the difference is that, within this contract, it's 33 days in total of vacation, and the argument, there was some argument that it should be 30 instead of 33, so a difference of 3 days. So that's sort of what we have, the contract that's in front of us today. I would say that if there are counselors that are interested to delve into the terms of the contract more, I think that now is the time to do that. And I think that it's important that whether we want to postpone it until next month or not, since the contract is in front of us today, we should at least ensure that, when we get to that vote, that folks feel comfortable with the contract. Because if they don't, then there's still, if it were to be tabled or whatever, right, there's still an opportunity for, to hear more on it. It is I am personally comfortable with this contract. That's why I feel like I'm ready to vote in favor of it.
Thank you, Councilor Payano.
Inquiry.
Mr. Vice President.
Could you just one more time, Mr. President, what is the underlying motion? I want to make sure I'm clear on what the underlying motion is.
So the motion as presented by Councilor Rodriguez and second by Councilor Salinas Reyes is to approve document 28221 pending a review or recommendation from the Personnel Committee.
Mr. President, just so I'm clear on the process, so the Personnel Committee will meet at some point. As soon as that meet, it comes before the full council, we check the box off that they've met, and now it's officially adopted? Is that what that means? What does that mean?
That is the motion as presented by
I
Councilor
just want to make
Rodriguez.
sure I understand the motion correctly, so when I take my vote, being fully informed about it.
So the motion presented by Councilor Rodriguez is to approve document 28221 pending a recommendation from the Personnel Subcommittee.
So the recommendation can be yes or no, so.
Right now,
Will there be another vote at the full council level after the Personnel Committee? Or just because it satisfies the fact that the personnel did it, that if based on this is the vote this evening.
as
There is
presented,
no other vote. If this is the final vote based on this motion.
that is
Okay,
as presented on the motion by Councilor Giovanni Rodriguez.
okay.
So,
I'm going to reserve my right unless somebody else wishes to speak, Council President.
Councilor Rodriguez,
I'm gonna make a motion to table.
motion to table has been made.
Second.
It's been second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
No.
Madam Clerk,
No.
roll call, please.
So, Mr. President, the motion to table was made by Councilor Rodriguez
By Councilor Rodriguez.
and
It was
seconded
second by
by
Council Vice President LaPlante.
LaPlante. Okay.
I have a
Vice President
question.
LaPlante.
Yes.
Councilor,
Councilor Rodriguez.
No.
I have a question. By
Unfortunately,
doing this vote, how many votes?
unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to take any questions or comments at this point.
Present.
Councilor De La Cruz is yes? Present. Councilor Payano.
No.
Councilor Abdu.
Yes.
Councilor Reyes.
No.
Councilor Levy is absent. Councilor Estela Reyes is absent. President Vasquez.
My vote is no, the motion fails.
Council President, are you looking to call the final vote at this point?
There's a motion on the floor. on this-
At this point, Council President, because we're about to take, and that would just require 5 votes, correct? As a parliamentary
Correct.
inquiry, 1, 2. And this is essentially a final adoption of this, as I understand it, because once we do it, this is final adoption.
Correct.
So, Council President, based on those factors, and on the factors of the city attorney's guidance to us, there is a bit of parliamentary questions that are available to us as to what actually means when something is sent down to the personnel and is in the Personnel Committee. If the Personnel Committee has never met to deal with something, has the Personnel Committee actually considered it? Has it met the qualifications? Arguments have been made on one side this evening, which I fully understand. arguments can certainly be made on the other side. This is an important matter. It sets important precedent, in my opinion, and this is truly a matter of a charter distinction that we do not know. There can be some serious objections based on the charter on whether or not we're doing something, whether this motion, the way that it is crafted, which says that as soon as somebody says meets on it, that immediately now it's going to be passed. I don't think, in this counselor's opinion, meets the spirit of what our charter says. And based on this counselor's opinion on that, I'm going to raise on the Rule 11, which is a charter objection on this matter, and it's something that I have rarely done in 16 years.
Document 28221 has been charter objected. This will be discussed in the next city council meeting, whether it's special or regular. Moving on to old business, document 15121. Councilor Payano.
Thank you, Council President. Council President, I would like to make a motion for us to suspend Rule 20. No,
Second the motion?
no, it's not that.
Rule
So
20.
this item, I know that this item, I believe, I'm making a motion for reconsideration.
A motion for reconsideration has been made.
Second.
Wait. First, we need to suspend the rules.
Rule 20.
Rule 20,
Rule-
then Rule 21.
Yes. So that's the first vote that needs to be taken. After that is done, the vote for reconsideration, for final rejection, I believe. No.
So according to what the clerk informed me earlier on
so
today,
we need-
was
Suspend this
suspend
rule,
Rule
then
20
suspend
and
that
then
rule.
Rule 21.
Favorably.
Correct. So the first thing we're doing is Rule 20. So suspend Rule 20 as a motion by itself. Is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there's a motion on the floor to reconsider the vote taken for document 15121 to suspend Rule 20. Is there a second? It has been
Second.
properly second. Any discussion? Seeing there's none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Councilor Payano.
Thank you, Council President. I would like to make a motion for us to suspend Rule 21.
Motion has been made.
Second the motion.
It's been properly second. Any discussion? Seeing there's none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Councilor Payano.
Thank you, Council President. I would like now to make a motion for City Council to approve item 151-21.
Motion has been
Second
made.
the motion.
It's been properly second. Any discussion? Seeing there's none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Counselor, did you want to make that motion to approve and to waive the 30 days?
Yes, please.
So the motion is to approve and waive the 30 days. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Councilor Payano.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy. Okay, moving on. We have document 15921. It's a rail trail contract amendment on the amount of $178,980. Thank you, Councilor Rodriguez.
Mr. President, I too would like to abstain.
Thank you, Councilor Abdu. Okay, councilors, are there any questions or comments on this item?
Yes,
Councilor
Council President.
Payano.
Thank you, Council President. Council President, I would just like the proponent, if Planning Director Pedro Soto is here, to just talk us through this amendment.
Good evening, Director Soto.
Good evening, Mr. President. Good evening, councilors. My name is Pedro Soto, Planning Director, 177 Washington Street, for the record, in Lynn. So the item before you tonight, I just want to give some background on this item. So in 2016, the city of Lawrence received $750,000 from the state's Gateway City Parks program for the design of the Lawrence-Manchester Rail Corridor. The city received proposals from at least 4 qualified firms. The firm selected to complete the work was TEC, with a proposal fee of $792,000. That was well below the estimate that we received. That we're estimating at $940,000. Over the last 4 years, there's been substantial developments that has caused the scope of work and additional services to increase on the project. So as an example, MassDOT adopted new policies and procedures that have increased the required effort on the design of the project beyond the project's initial scope for the team. The city contracted for the removal of the Manchester Street Bridge as a standalone project in the winter of 2017. The assessment of the 500-foot-long historic truss railroad bridge over the Merrimack River was also identified in part of the scope. We had rehab that needed to occur on the structure. The existing conditions survey completed in 2017 also needed to be updated. We just actually updated that. It should be available to our team actually this week. So over the course of the last 4 years, there have been a lot of changes, things in the field that we did not anticipate. So the awarding body, we have gone back to them, and luckily we've had a really great partnership with them. This is a really great project that the state has been championing, and we appreciate their support. The Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, we've been chatting with them, letting them know of what we're experiencing in the field, and they have been gracious enough to provide us more funding every time we go back, every 2 years or every year, depending on what stage of the project we're in. They have been gracious enough to amend our contract and fund out-of-scope items. So the contract amount, the amendment amount that you see before you, the $178,980, before the meeting I did go around and leave some exhibits for you. I left the standard contract, which is the amended contract, as well as the project summary. And as you can see, there are some gray boxes that represent the out-of-scope items. And if you add all those up, you'll see the $178,980. So in short, Councilor Payano, that cost really represent out-of-scope items that were unforeseen at the beginning of the project, and the awarding body has made an amendment to our contract to make sure that we can fulfill our obligations to complete the rail trail project.
Council President?
Councilor Bayan.
Thank you, Council President. Director Soto, where the $179,000, is that the city that ends up paying for that? $178,000. Well, $178,980. So
No, so we're actually, this is all grant money that came to the city, and we're getting more money to pay for our obligations. There's no obligation on the city side.
Thank you, Director Soto. I know that you conducted this, there was a discussion at the Budget Committee meeting, and so I do remember this item, but can you talk to us about where this money's coming from? So you said it's a grant from where?
So this is from the EEA. So this is the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. So a lot of the open space projects, recreation, trails, they fund a lot of those projects across the Commonwealth. I think the state's lens through which they look at projects now, equity and has been really important, making sure that post-industrial communities like Lawrence, Lynn, other gateway cities, there's a lot of trails that are not being used as, to carry freight, and it represents a really great opportunity for recreation. So that's really been their focus with this particular project, but that's where the funding's coming from.
Okay. So I think that the only thing missing from the packet, I know that there was a conversation in the Budget Committee around where the money was coming from, and I think, I'm just trying to recall the conversation from a couple of months ago. So perhaps I'm misremembering, but I think one of the things that we talked about was getting like something in writing that sort of, guaranteed that this money was, that there was a grant in place, to pay this. Do you know of anything, like, what is the guarantee that this 179,000 is going to be coming from the EEA? Because from the way it currently the proposal that you give to us, from the way it currently reads, it looks like there's an additional cost. But there isn't anything in there that states that this cost is being supported or is that there's going to be a grant to cover those costs.
Yeah, thank you. So the increase in cost is outlined in the project summary sheet that I shared. And I also provided the standard contract form. I know that as subcommittee, we were talking about the need for more information. Initially, I did provide the scope of services, additional terms. This is page 2. And then for tonight, I did also include the contract that was signed by the mayor, essentially binding the city, and here's a commitment to provide you more funding. The dollar amount is in the middle of the page, the compensation that's going to be, provided to the city. That's the overall amount that's going to be provided to the city once the contract is completed. The additional cost really comes with just the out-of-scope items that we're going to need to pay for. So the city, we get the grant, we have TEC and other subcontractors, working to complete the project. There's costs that are incurred, and through these funding, the grant money will be able to pay for that. So there were cost increases. It's not coming from city coffers. It's really coming from this grant money that's going to flow through the city. I don't know if I answered their question, but.
So I'm trying to understand completely. So what you're saying is that these out of scope, these costs that were out of scope, that somehow in the documents presented to us, I don't think that. So what I read is a contract, that there's a contract in place, and that there's a job that needed to be done, and that currently we're running over the budget. I think what I was hoping to also read was something that stated that kind of what you just said right now, that this money is coming from the state, and it's the state is going to cover this 179,000. And I definitely wanted something like that in writing. Is that, if we take a vote on this today, is that something you'd be able to provide after the vote?
Sure, I could connect with you and find out exactly, what you need to see that.
I'm sorry to interrupt. So I think what I'm looking for, again, I hear what you're saying. You're saying that this money should be coming from the state.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So somehow you're very clear and definitive that that's what is going to happen, right? I guess what I was hoping that I would see is like a documentation that said something like that as well. The documentation that you presented to us, what it states is that that the project is complicated, and that essentially we're going over the budget that's envisioned, and that it's an additional $179,000 cost. But the documents don't state that so essentially that we're going over 179,000, but the state is going to pay and it's going to cover the 179,000. That's what I'm hearing from your presentation.
I'm sorry, I'm at a loss here. So the contract that we have here states the Commonwealth is going to provide us more funding to cover the
Okay,
cost of
great.
this.
So where does it state that?
I mean, the very nature of the contract just outlines that they're going to be providing this. This is the source here, right? From
Well, treat me like I'm a beginner on it, right? So, not the city attorney, so guide me through it. Where in that contract does it
If-
state that?
Council Payano, if you'd like, I can provide you exactly that language from the Secretary of the Commonwealth providing that, stating, here's the out-of-scope items that are going to be, that are incurred on the project, and here's the intent for the monies to be spent in this way. I can provide that to you if you'd like. Like you mentioned earlier, if we have a vote tonight, which I'd love to push for that, I can provide that pending.
Well, Director Soto, I was mentioning it before, but
Yeah.
you stated that it's in the contract. So if it's in the contract, then
Well-
I won't need, you won't need to provide that. You can just point it out where in the contract it says that, and I think that will resolve the issue.
You're right. I mean, the nature of the contract is what it is. The state and the city made a commitment to fund the out-of-scope items. I don't have a line here that I can look at where it says we're going to pay all these out-of-scope items because they're not pointing that out in the contract.
Okay, then if it's not pointed out in the contract, then you can't point at the contract and said that's the
fair.
answer.
That's fair. That's
right?
fair. Whatever it is that you need, we'll get it. We've been here. This is the 4th time that I've been before the body. We really need to get the money out, pay the contractors that have completed work or very close to completing work. So if you'd like additional documentation to make you feel comfortable, I can provide that to you and the rest of the city council.
No further questions, Council President.
Councilor De La Cruz.
Thank you for coming, Mr. Soto. How long do we have to use this money?
So-
And if we have a date that if we don't use it, we lose it.
What I wouldn't say that we would lose it. We do have $22 million for this project for construction. The monies that we're talking about here are design dollars. So we're designing the project to be able to advertise and construct the project in fiscal year '23. So, ideally, we'd obviously need to complete that by March, the design of this upcoming year, to really make sure that we hit the deadlines, the advertising deadlines that we're trying to meet. But I don't know if that answers your question, Counselor.
My other question is, do you have an idea of the places that you are going to cover? Like, what specific location are you planning to work on?
Yeah, so the project stretches from the Merrimack paper site all the way on the rail trail, over the Merrimack on the rail trail, and to Stevens Pond to the Methuen line. So it's about a 1.5-mile stretch going through those neighborhoods.
And you mentioned the Manchester Street.
Yes,
You know that they have a water problem over there?
I do. I'm very familiar with the water problems there.
Yeah, and it's incredible, but people are walking around that water, which is very harm.
Yeah, that's actually one of the challenges that we're engineering for on the project. We do know that there's an existing, on the trail, there is an existing drainage infrastructure, and it's not working properly. So it's one of the things that we're trying to uncover and figure out how we can make it work so it works properly and it's not flooded. That's not something that we want, underwater when we're making a trail through that section. So we're aware of it. Yeah.
The good thing is that when the new construction, the new buildings, we always have to think about getting renewable energy as much as we can, that we have to follow the environmental codes that we have today. Then please take all of that in consideration. The Manchester Street is very dark, and if we can get this, a better light, that we don't have to change it in 20 years, it will be nice. Then, at the same time, I would like you to use the input from the community, because the community has a lot to say. I went to the Manchester Street, around there, and it's incredible. It's flooded, the whole place around there. You can hardly walk. Then my recommendation is that we approve this as soon as possible, because we have a lot of needs in the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council President, a question for you. So this item was voted by the Budget and Finance Committee with our recommendation pending documents. What it states is pending documents to clarify whether or not this is a grant fund or as authorization to expend the funds. I'm going to be honest, Council President, I do not recall that part of the conversation, so I don't know exactly sort of what the scope of that entails, but I just want to make sure that that piece is here today. Also, the second piece is proponent of this item is to include proper documents that are consistent. I think it says with other, I don't know what that means, but I think what that is entail is that it is consistent with the presentation, which is that the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs will be covering that $179,000. And lastly, there's a piece says that clarification is needed for this item, that there is language attached to this, and that language around essentially saying like whereas is and be it enacted, and that type of language that we've seen with other grants. And I just want to, I'm asking the Council President to see if any of that information is with the document.
So that's not information that I think neither the clerk or myself have received. Madam Clerk, have you received any of those documents?
No.
Just a clarifying question.
Director Soto?
Thank you. So I did, this meeting and the prior meeting include the standard contract. And in my mind, it's pretty clear, here's a contract between the state and the city. I also included the project summary, which outlines the scope of work, items that are out of scope, items that are in the initial proposal. Seems pretty clear to me what, receiving funding to cover out-of-scope items. It's $178,000, several months behind on this project. I'd urge for a favorable vote tonight. Like I mentioned, Councilor Payano, I'm more than happy to meet with you. In all honesty, I'm having trouble understanding exactly what you're requesting. I thought this was sufficient to cover basically the relationship between the city, the Commonwealth, the monies that are being sent over to us, and the out-of-scope items. I'm honestly not sure what you're looking for, but I'm happy to meet and get clarity.
So Council President, through you. So what I'll state is that there were three requests before the Budget and Finance moved it and voted to send it with our recommendation to the full council. I only have knowledge of one of those requests, which is the conversation that you and I are having right now. I think you keep mentioning that the answer is in the contract, and what I would say, like, I'm not trying to make it difficult. If the answer is in the contract, then I think you should just point it out. And what I think my piece of the conversation is, what we're saying is that this is going to go over $179,000. Where's the money coming from? What you're saying is the money's coming from the state. Great. So what we were looking for was a document that stated exactly that was consistent with your presentation. You've provided a contract, and essentially what you're saying is that in the contract, it says that, right? But, we have 3 pages of boiler language, and I guess what I'd ask of you is just to just give us the where is it in this contract that it states that. That's just for my piece alone. I do not remember what whether or not this is a grant fund or authorization to expend the funds. Oh, I think, perhaps,
So-
I don't know, the council vice president were you part of that meeting at all?
Mr. Vice President?
I'm not sure, Council, through you, Mr. President. I'm not sure. I'm kind of looking back on this. We've worked on so many different things. It may be one of those times where I was filling in for a little bit and then got out for a little bit during that time. I'm not sure when exactly we were taking a vote or this came out of the committee.
Through you, Council President, I believe that the question was whether or not us passing this, would we also require a vote to expend the $179,000 that would be coming from the state, maybe? I sort of feel like you might have asked that question.
So, through you, Mr. President, if
Council Vice
it's
President.
permissible, what I recall from this discussion was that there was a series of questions regarding essentially what the previous speaker was addressing, which is show some basis for this information. And I know that there's been some, I believe there's been some information, not only hard copy, but I think that the planning department actually has submitted some documentation to us to help buttress it. Perhaps not to your satisfaction, but I believe there was an attempt made to get to that point. I think the questions that the previous speaker is mentioning here is legitimate and things we were talking about during it. I'm listening to the response this evening, and the response is the contract is the document. The fact that the very essence of the contract speaks to the fact that yes, the Commonwealth is engaging in the city. I hear that the speaker saying, well, what about the extra stuff? And the department is saying, well, the contract is the contract, and because of they're saving us money, that's the deal. We do see the addendum. We do see this documentation as well, which is, this, and I'll be candid with you, this documentation that we received, it shows a little bit of where the extra money is coming from or where it's going to be going to. But again, and maybe it's just the process of state government. That maybe in these contracts that are negotiated and discussed, maybe it's the essence of state government in these kind of discussions where they're not perhaps as clear as we would like them to be. But I do think what I would like to see, Council President, is my colleague here, and I was part of this, and thank you for reminding me, it was November 22nd where we had the committee meeting, and I was at that meeting clearly. What we really need to do is just have the meeting of the minds, Council President. If we can get the planning director with the councilor at large, and then having a face-to-face meeting or telephone conversation, that way we don't have to hash it out like this, and they can get to that place where the councilor is satisfied, gets the information, and is at peace with the vote this evening. Because right now, I'm sensing that there's not a lot of peace with that vote. And I'm sensing, he's very cool. There's a bit of frustration. This is the fourth or fifth time.
That's correct.
Pardon me?
That would be correct.
So there's been a few times, and there's growing frustration that we're kind of stringing this along a little bit. And I just want the department head and my colleague to be connected and make that happen. I don't mind. I do want to have some resolution on this so that we can move on as we're going on there. At some point, I wouldn't mind, if it's okay with my colleague here, maybe we give this one more bite at the apple, have the gentleman meet, table it this evening, keep our fingers crossed. Are we at the end of the line here? Are the deadlines coming up? What's the deadline?
There's a lot of work that's been happening to keep this project on task, and contractors have, in good faith, continued the work. Like I mentioned earlier, GPI, they were updated in 2017 survey. They're just finishing this and delivering this to TEC by Christmas. We need that information to update our design plans, moving forward to 75% plans. We're really close to missing our deadline to being to advertise this project. We have $22 million that we received from the MPO. we're really keeping it tight here to try to keep on that deadline for submission for bids. So every week counts. You know, I'd love to chat with you, Councilor Payano, if you'd like, and provide you more details. I don't want to get the sense, or I don't want to leave you with the impression that there's some conflict here or whatever. I honestly just thought this was sufficient. We're here 4 times now, and I thought all the details were out, but happy to meet with you if a vote is entertained tonight and provide you with additional details.
Here's a recommendation. Can we ask our CAFO, Mr. Anello, if the city has a commitment to pay this, or if this is sufficient, what the director is presenting to the council? Not sure if you have the documentation before you, or if you're familiarized with what's going on.
I'm not familiar with any commitment towards this project that the city has made. So I'll rely on Pedro to comment on that.
Okay.
If there is a city match, I'm not aware of it unless it's been appropriated. Okay, there's no match.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Council President, one more question, and I thank you for yielding. The question is we are planning on having our next full city council meeting on which we're taking votes on January the 4th. What happens if this thing's, and I realize it's frustrating, I get it. We're slipping, I get it, big time down this hill, slipping. If this thing slips to the 4th, what's the ramifications to you, Mr. President?
So, we would be 2 weeks away. I mean, it's really up to you. I'd love to get this. There's a lot of other things that we're working on. I'd love to kind of put this to bed. I suppose there wouldn't be any dire consequences. Again, we are moving really closely to an advertising date, and I'd like to preserve as much cushion time as we can. So on those grounds, I'd push for for a vote tonight. But if it is your pleasure to advocate to move this, I'm happy to work with the council on that.
Council President, my last thought, and I'll relinquish the floor. I really do want to have, I think that as councilors, we should be as informed and be at peace. There may be difficult votes to get to. Sometimes things are obstructions, and we all go through that, and we see it, and we know what's happening. I honestly think that one of my colleagues here is really trying to get to the end root of a matter that's important. Yep. And I know that councilor would give me the same respect, and I want to give that councilor the same respect of giving that opportunity to get to that point. I'm probably going to be looking for a motion to table this evening to allow that conversation to take place so that this can go place. If you count the votes right now, you're not going to get 5. It's just not going to happen. You need to run the table this evening because there's only 5 councilors here. You miss one, it's game over. I don't want to jeopardize it. So I want to provide my colleague one more. Let's find it out one more time. I'm going to be making a motion to table at some point. Maybe I'll reserve it. Maybe my colleague has another idea, and I'll just stand back. Thank you, Council President.
Okay. Councilor de la Cruz.
My concern here is that we don't get enough time to a money that is being given to the city. If it is a money that compromises the city, I will, ask a lot of questions. But it's compromising the state, not us. Then that money is going to come anyway. They're going to put the money in. Then if we keep delaying and delaying, we might not going to be part of the project. Walking through the Manchester Street is nasty. Something needed to be done today. It's floated of water. It's like 20 inches of water every time that it rains. It's not my district, but I've been looking in the city about the things that needed to be changed, and that's one of them. We need the state to come and to explain to us what are they planning to do, and I would like not to table this matter because it's concerning that we lose the money that is being given to us. It's a gift. And we want the state to let us know what is our commitment as a city. But if it is the state and they committing themselves to put all the money, I think we start playing game. This is not a game. It is a lot of money involved that is going to benefit our community. Our community will take advantage of fixing stuff that are causing a lot of issue in the city already. Then, Mr. Soto, if we request the state to come and sit down with us in the next meeting, is that possible?
Assuming that their schedule allows, I don't see why that wouldn't be possible.
You know that we want to use the money, but at the same time, we have questions. I don't have any concern because the state has to be responsible for any changes that they wanted to do in the city of Lawrence. But at the same time, we have to take advantage of the things that they offer into the community. Of course, Mr. Soto, we ask you to request them to put it in writing and to do it on paper. I would like to hear that in 2 years, we had to pay them back, that we had to pay the state back, or that we had to match up the amount of money that they're giving us. Then we just need to hear and to see what it is that they're offering in a more clear statement that we can understand. But we need the job as of today. We need that money here, and we need the contract to be worked on as soon as possible. Then, are you committing to that, Mr. Soto? To ask the state to send us all the information that, Mr. Payano, will you make a list of the things that you are requesting?
Sure.
Okay, then Mr. Payano will send you a list of the things that we are requesting, but at the same time, if you vote yes, pending all the requests that we are asking you tonight.
Thank you, Councilor.
Council President?
Councilor Payano?
So I'd like to make a motion to approve pending documentation from the, there's from the executive, wow, I had it written down, and from the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs that states that the $178,980 is an amount that would be covered by, that would be covered by them.
Okay,
Second the motion.
motion's been made and properly second. No further discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you, Councilors.
Thank you. Okay, councilors, we have another document which is in old business, but I also see department heads here. So I see 3 people: Franklin Miguel, Mark Ayanello, and I believe Sue is still here. I can't see her in the post. Sue, you're still here. Okay, so Franklin Miguel, which document are you here for?
Good evening, councilors. I'm Franklin Miguel, a Capital Assets Project Manager, City of Lawrence. I'm here on behalf of DPW for item 26421 for the appropriation of transfer from free cash of $220,118.
Thank you. Councilors, if you remember, these are the last 4 items in table matters are all items that we had to table because we did not have 6 councilors present to take a vote for any of the appropriation transfers, correct? So if you wouldn't mind taking the following items as a block, document 26421, 26521, 26621, and 267A21 as a block to take out of table matters, and then we'll discuss them individually.
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and it's been properly second. Any discussion? Seeing there's none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 The ayes have it. Okay. Now, All of those 4 documents are out of table. Document 26421 is the appropriation transfer from free cash in the amount of $220,000. $220,118.80. So this is for special project account and street lighting account. Mr. Miguel, where's the DPW director?
He has some personal issues that he couldn't be present tonight. So I'm here if you guys have, if you councilors have any questions, I'm here to answer it for him.
Okay,
On his behalf.
thank you. Councilors, any questions or comments?
Mr. Parliamentarian, what is I think the underlying motion on the floor, does there need to be a new motion issued, or is the underlying
Yeah, we need a
motion
motion.
Motion to approve?
is already underlined?
Second.
Question has been made and
It's already
properly second. Councilor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Council President, for the opportunity to speak on this behalf. I would like to ask a few questions to Franklin Miguel.
Yes, sir.
So, you mentioning that you have the street lighting that you're talking about here. Can you specify which one of those? Is the regular LED light that we need
Yes,
to?
yes, it's basically it is 143,000, which will be allocated for the repair and maintenance a contract portion of when the city converted all the street lights to LEDs. We have, the city have seen significant saving on this. Originally, in the budget, it was like about 800,000, 820. So today we have it like our 400. So we have seen, significant saving on the street light account.
All right. I also would like to probably do a little bit of research, perhaps, on the street lighting. There is a lot of the lighting that are kind of flashing, in a flashing mode throughout the city. Out of those LED lights, kind of like, they have warranty, or what happened?
They do,
with those?
well, as a portion, the portion for the street lighting is on that matter that we have under contract with Ameresco. We usually report them all the issues with the street lights, and they will go replace it. And if we need to add any new lighting, they will go ahead and proceed and do it.
It is important to say that, the street lighting now are owned by the city of Lawrence, and that
It is.
this is why we're spending this amount of money on this program.
Just to give you a little bit of information in that manner, Councilor, the city is seeing around $30,000 to $35,000 in saving just for the repair and maintenance portion of the contract. Of the street light. So eventually, for the next budget, we won't have to request more money for the street lights. We're currently working with Ameresco and National Grid on more savings for the city of Lawrence on that aspect.
All right. And another question that I have, you have $75,500 for a special project account. And based on our conversation, this is in regard to monitoring the yard. Can you explain a little more?
Yes, the Oxford paper site and the DPW yard. We have had documented incidents of hazardous chemicals released into the soil, and we are required to keep monitoring the sites and send the results of this to the DEP and EPA for analysis. We have monitoring wells at the DPW yard right now. Since we are removing the underground storage tank, and in order to monitor any or prevent any oil moving into the soil, into the ground. So since we are next to the river, we want to make sure that no contaminant is going into the river from the yard.
And how you guys are planning on doing this? I mean, are you planning on hiring a company or
currently-
doing it in-house?
I mean, this is not the first time that we've done this. It's been many years that the city is been facing. Even when John Isensi was on board, he was the one who actually brought the company that we have on board. It's just a follow-up process that we need to keep sending DEP for the reports on a yearly basis, but the wells we have to keep monitoring and analyzing the air inside the buildings, just to prevent that we don't have any vapor, any contamination inside the buildings for our laborers.
Do you mind providing us some type of result from the previous year?
Sure.
On this monitoring, and that way we know like
Sure.
what type of contaminations we've been getting, and what we need to be aware of in case that something happen and so far, and that way
Sure.
we prepare. Thank you.
I will be sending you all the copy of the last report that we had.
Thank you, Council President. No more questions.
Thank you. Councilors, seeing there's no, Councilor de la Cruz?
Mr. Miguel, does the lights has anything to do with the running school clock? Because we noticed that when, in the winter, the clock doesn't change to the specific time. Then does the light has anything to do with the clock at the same time?
The clock here at City Hall, the clock tower?
No, the clock at the running school.
The running
Because
no.
it seems to be that they're working with the street light. It seems to be that the sensor that they have to do with the street light. Then,
No, I don't think so, no, but I can find out.
can you please
later.
find out?
Yes,
Yes. Thank you.
no problem.
Okay. Seeing there's no further questions or comments, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, now moving on, we have document 26521. It's an order to expend grant funds from the Commonwealth of Mass. Community Compact Grant Program review from the Human Resources Practices on the amount of $12,000. It was placed on the agenda by our CAFO, Mr. Ianello. Councilors, is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Been made and properly second. 26521. Okay, see, there's no discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Document 26621 is an order to expend grant funds, Commonwealth of Mass. Community Compact Grant Program, update of wage classification plan for non-union employees on the amount of $25,000, also placed on the agenda by our CAFO, Mark Ianello. Councilors, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second the motion.
Motion has been made and properly seconded in the discussion. Councilors, I'm very excited for this particular document because this is an opportunity for the city to finally have an opportunity to review the salaries and wages for city employees. As you know, the city should have been doing this, on a regular basis. However, it has not. So this funding will allow for the city of Lawrence now to ensure that employees who are non-union will have a fair classification for their salaries and wages. So I hope that all of us will be able to support it tonight. Are there any further questions or comments?
I hope they can include the city councilors as well.
So, Councilor, there's in order to amend the salary for the city council or the mayor, an item needs to be submitted to the city council agenda by members of the city council.
It is on the city council agenda.
So the council has the opportunity to review, make a recommendation, vote on it, and it will not be adopted until the following elective term. So even if it were to be approved, none of the councilors present will qualify for the increase. Okay, and similarly for the mayor. Okay, any further questions or comments? Seeing there's none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Document 267A21 is an order to expend grant funds. EOEEA renovations to Reservoir Park on the amount of $400,000. It was submitted by Sue Fink, Manager for Financial Administrative Services. Councilors, please know that we divided this document in two, which was 267A, which deals with the financial of it, and 267B, which has already been approved. It was more of the non-financial, more of administrative task. Is there a motion?
Second.
Second the
To
motion.
approve has been made, it's been properly second. Any discussion? Seeing there's none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Vice President LaPlante,
Yes.
Counselor Rodriguez. Counselor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Counselor Payano.
Yes.
Counselor Abdu.
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Counselor Levy is absent. Counselor Stella Reyes is absent. President Vasquez.
My vote is yes, the motion carries. Okay, councilors, are there any additional, we do have document 28821. Let's go back to old business. Document 28821 is a request of the City Council on the City Charter, City Council Rule 2, allow all meetings of the City Council and committees to be hybrid, allowing participation both in person in the City Council chamber and remotely via Zoom until April 1st, 2022. This request is made to accommodate all potential participants with a health consideration that prevents them from participating in person. It was submitted by Councilor Levy and Councilor De La Cruz. Councilors, is there a motion for this item?
Motion to approve?
Motion has been made.
Second.
It was made by Councilor Payano. It has been seconded by Councilor De La Cruz. Any discussion? Discussion, Council Vice President LaPlante.
I want to sing a familiar phrase from earlier this evening. This is the last meeting of the Lawrence City Council with this group. We have a new city council formulating in 2 weeks. We are about to, this city council is going to make rules for the next city council. And this is our last meeting. I think, again, as a courtesy to our new colleagues that are going to join us in a few weeks, that we table this vote this evening to allow them the opportunity to have some input on a rule that's going to be governing this body for at least till April 1st, I guess. I think there's a lot of good things about this rule. I kind of like this rule. I talked to one of the proponents a little to get more detail, and it makes some sense to me as how we should go. But I think as a courtesy to the people that are going to be having to deal with this rule, I think I would look to have this motion tabled, and then we can revisit it as early as the January 4th meeting. I don't want to block anybody from speaking, but I will be making a motion to table.
Councilor De La Cruz.
Thank you, Council President. As we noticed, the COVID is going higher, and we understand that a lot of people, they cannot be meeting with other people. Then we have to have that in place just in case we cannot meet. Because the winter is here, and people are getting sick. I would like to do my vote all the time, but if I have to do a hybrid, I will do it as well. I promised I'm going to make my effort to be here, but due to so many people getting sick, if somebody gets sick in my house, I don't want to expose other people. Then we have to be more respectful to one another, because yes, we can get very, very sick.
Thank you, Councilor De La Cruz. Any other questions or comments? Respectfully, councilors, I think that all of us have run for office. We were elected to serve the people, And there comes circumstances in which we have to step up to the plate, and during challenging times, that's when you show true leadership. And yes, are we still in the middle of a global pandemic? It's been 2 years. We are struggling. But I also see the councilors that are not present here tonight attending functions throughout the city where there's hundreds of people. So if we run for office, we run to represent the citizens of Lawrence, especially in its most challenging times. And that's what we're doing. We have to step up to the plate. Yes, are there circumstances in which rules have to be amended? We did that earlier when the pandemic started. We all struggled. We did have to have Zoom meetings in order to be able to accommodate. But now, I think that we should not make it simply a mandate to accommodate a specific individual. If it's something that it's to accommodate the community at large and the council at large, that's a different story, like when it happened before. If you're not going to attend meetings, I think that the document should be, how do we actually pay counselors that are not present? That's what we should be considering. If you're not attending meetings, then we should probably not be getting paid and use those funds for something else. I mean, yes, we're going to have our different opinions here, but we have been elected to serve a purpose. And, you know, the purpose is to represent the community. So, Councilor Payano.
Thank you, Council President. Council President, I think, you know, you bring up good points, and I understand your point of view. I think that this item, the reason I support this item is because we have no idea what could happen between now and April. I think that the reason that the governor put this in place and is allowing this opportunity for city councils, for city governance to do it is because of that. We, as Councilor De La Cruz mentioned, at any point, someone might get sick, right? So I know that for a time, I was sick for a while, not knowing whether I was contagious or not, and there were various meetings that I missed that I know that I would have been, if there was a hybrid component, that I would have been able to attend. And I understand what you're saying, because I'm definitely an individual that for the last 4 years that I have been, maybe it's not been right, but I've come here, sick. And that's probably not a good thing to do, because potentially I was spreading colds to other people, right? Not sick, well, I got a cough, but nothing contagious, so, I see the look that some folks, kind of tightening their mask on. But I understand your sentiment, and what I would say is I'm not here to judge any counselor. I'm no counselor's boss. At the end of the day, our bosses are the residents and the voters, and they can make up their own decisions on whoever, right? But I think what I look at this, I'm looking at if any counselor here happens to get sick, right? Happens to, whether it's a cold, a flu, they don't know. I've known several people that have tested negative twice, only to the third time test positive. And what I would say is the same thing I say to my employees. Like, if you are feeling the sniffles, whatever it might be, don't show up. I'd rather you work from home. I think we have the ability to do that work. And I think, for these meetings are very important, right? Like, this is where we make decisions. I know that every counselor here does work outside of these meetings, right? Like, I'm sure you go to the supermarket and you find individuals there that want to talk to you. Like, our job is nonstop. It's not, we get paid part-time, but it's not a part-time job. So I just want to make it clear that I think that there's other work that is done out in the community that I know every counselor is doing. And I think this part is one of the most important parts, because it's front-facing. It's where we actually get to take the vote. And God forbid any of us do get sick, I think this allows us the opportunity to still contribute. I look at the fact that we've gone through 4 for items because we were missing an individual, right? And I'll put myself front and center. I was one of the individuals that was missing. Granted, I was in bed for about a week, right? So I was one of those individuals. And knowing myself, probably I would, what a doctor would say is stay in bed. Knowing myself, I probably would have logged on to the Zoom and been a part of that meeting, just knowing me, instead of resting. So I think that if something like that ever happens on my case or happens to anybody else in here, I think that opportunity should be given to those folks. And I hear, Councilor Vice President LaPlante, what you stated, and completely understand those sentiments. But I will just say, back to the original discussion that we had before, I mean, I'm a believer that, like, if it's in front of us, we should be dealing with it. And I think at any time, if a council member wishes before the April deadline, where all of a sudden it's January the 3rd and coronavirus is just gone, so there's no reason for any of this, it's just gone, then I think at that point any council member can bring this up and say that we stop doing hybrid, and I think that that's fine, and that's a discussion that we could have. No further statements, Council President.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments?
I'd like to make a motion to further comments.
There's a motion on the floor.
I'd like to make a motion to table this item until for date certain for the January 4th meeting.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilor Estela Reyes is absent. Councilor Anna Levy is absent. Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor David Abdu.
Yes.
Councilor Pavel Payano.
No.
Councilor Maria de la Cruz.
Present.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Present.
Present.
Councilor Giovanni Rodriguez.
No.
Vice President LaPlante.
Yes.
President Vasquez.
No. Motion
Motion
fails.
doesn't pass.
Council President, I'm just going to make a comment. I will probably be voting against this evening. If I am on the prevailing side, I will certainly be looking to reintroduce it at the next, if it dies at the January 4th meeting, if it dies this evening. So I just want my colleagues to know where I stand on this issue, because I do think we all have a right to have an opportunity to speak on this matter.
Okay. So there's,
It's a rule change, it needs 6 votes.
yes. Yes.
25.
Yes. Okay, there's a motion on the floor. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Vice President LaPlante.
No.
Councilor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Councilor de la Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor Abdu.
I would like to ask that,
What's that?
I would like to ask that you read the underlying vote, the vote,
The motion.
the motion.
The motion is to approve, and it is an amendment to the rules. It's a request that the City Council, under City Council Rule 2, allow all meetings of the City Council and committees to be hybrid, allowing participation both in person in the City Council chambers and remotely via Zoom until April 1st, 2022, to accommodate all with health considerations that prevent them from participating in person.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Levy is absent. Councilor Estela Reyes is absent. President Vasquez.
My vote is no, the motion fails. Okay, moving on. Councilors, are there any additional table matters that you wish to take off the table? Seeing there's none, moving on to new business. Document 28921, National Grid and Verizon to install one JO pole, 15 Oak Street. Is going down to the Ordinance Committee. Document 29021, request for ordinance creating position for safety manager in the Department of Public Works. Is going down to the Ordinance Committee. Document 29121, handicap parking, 279 Lawrence Street, is going down to the Ordinance Committee. Document 29221, handicap parking, 68 Bunker Hill Street, is going down to the Ordinance Committee. Document 29321, city departments not answering incoming calls from residents. Councilor Rodriguez. Maybe. Let me see what, Councilor Rodriguez, what's your intent? So city departments not answering incoming calls from residents. What's your intention?
My
with
thought
this?
behind it, literally, that the department's heads need to make sure that the phone calls are being answered.
No, but so for me to be able to determine where to send this, do you consider this
Sounds like it's personnel.
No, I don't know,
personal,
personnel or
like, do you
committee
consider
of
this
the
an emergency?
whole.
Like,
Safety, not safety, but I mean, probably personal, I don't know. But I mean, it is an issue at the city that most of the departments are not answering the phone calls that the constituents are making to the city, to City Hall. So that's an issue. And it's not any particular department, it's most of the departments that are not answering the phone calls. So we have to deal with this. And
no, I
probably,
understand, but my intention is to be able to determine to which subcommittee to send this. So are you looking to make an ordinance? Are you looking to request the administration to call the attention to department heads? Are you like?
I think that by discussing this here, we should be able to generate
Policies, procedures?
policies, procedures based on a research on the last 2 years, what is the percentage of each phone call or each phone number has been answered and stuff like that. Based on that, we understand that there is an issue. So, and create policies based on that. So the committee that we have, the city council, are very specific. None of those committees are basically allow us to discuss this unless that we send it to safety or committee of the whole, because it's not a specific
Well,
situation. I mean,
the committee that creates ordinances, which are the policies that it's the Ordinance and Intergovernmental Relations Committee.
if the intention is to create an ordinance, essentially, you
Or
have to go to ordinance.
Through you, Council President?
Councilor Payano?
Thank you, Council President. So I would say, I would recommend to the petitioner that I think it'd be important, at the moment, we don't have like numbers or any data as far as like, calls that are being made. So I think it'd be important for an ask to be made of the department heads to start collecting that data. And I think that might better inform any potential policy, but it sounds like from what I'm hearing from Councilor Rodriguez, there's sort of this longer term discussion, which is great, but there's also a shorter term. So perhaps it's sending correspondence to the mayor's office and requesting that essentially a conversation is had with the city department heads around that. Because I think, Councilor Rodriguez, what you're saying is that calls are not being answered, not by the department heads, but by the individuals that are supposed to be picking up the calls.
Clerks.
Like, there is specific people that is supposed to be answering the phone calls, and they're not doing it.
Okay.
And like I said, it's not any particular, it's most of them.
So I think that at this point, understanding your thought, I think committee of the whole will be the best route. That way other councilors, you're not looking to create an ordinance, you're not looking to reprimand. Right now, I think it's more of a healthy discussion among the council, so committee.
Yeah, and essentially, it is a discussion. Research could be generated from this, and data can come up. Okay. And from there, if we find that there is an issue, working together with with the mayor's office, we can definitely create policies based on that, or perhaps create an ordinance.
Yep.
So that way we don't have this issue at the long run.
What about sending correspondence?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we should send correspondence to the mayor's office, as well as the IT department to generate any particular report based on the phone companies.
So there's a motion on the floor to send correspondence to the mayor's office. Do you want to specify to whom, the chief of staff?
And to the chief of staff,
Chief of staff.
to work in correlation with the IT department.
Okay, and to the IT department, to be able to generate a report on missed calls throughout the city.
Mr. President, could the maker of that motion draft the correspondence for us to forward so that we get it exactly correct? Thank you.
Okay? Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly second. Any discussion? Seeing there's none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The document was still submitted to the Committee of the Whole for further questions.
Thank you, Council President.
Councilors, are there any further items that you wish to take off the table at this point?
Yes, I would like to have a personal. Yes, I would like to have the opportunity to speak.
Moment of personal privilege? Councilor Rodriguez.
Well, I guess that today will be the last meeting for Council President Candice Vasquez and Councilor District E, Dave Abdu, correct? So with that said, I would like to say thank you to both of you for all the years served at this body, and as well as that being part of this community. Council President, thank you so much for all your work, hard work, all the effort, and everything that you have done for the city of Lawrence. Dave Abdu, Councilor District E, thank you for the service, for your service throughout all these years. Here at different committees, at the military, and I think that having people like you, both of you, working for the city, serving the community, is definitely a way to help others by doing the right thing, and you guys have done that. Thank you so much. Thank you both.
Thank you, Councilor. Okay,
Council
We
President.
hope,
Councilor Payano?
yes. Mr. Adu, you're gonna be missed by me because I'm always looking at you. Thank you for being a good friend. And we learn from other people a lot. And I learned with you to be patient and to be calm and to stress, to say what I wanted to say in a nice way. Thank you very much. Mr. President, you know that we love you in this city, and you're not leaving. We're not gonna let you leave this city because we still have too much to give out. I know Mr. Adu wanna be relaxed at home with his wife, but you have to teach your little kids to become part of the citizen, to become good citizen, and to become city councilor maybe, your son and your daughter. Then this is not the end. We still need your support, both of you, and we need you at the neighborhood association over there in the south. Right, Brenda? That we need Mr. Adu there?
She won't shake me.
No, exactly, she needs you. And then Mr. Council President, we're gonna miss you a lot. But I hope you stay in the city and to continue working with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council President.
Councilor Payano?
Thank you, Council President. I want to echo my colleagues in their statement. I've had the privilege to have you both as my counselors at one time or another. I want to thank you for your service to your community. This job that we have isn't easy. Many times it means that we don't have a personal life. And it means that at times where we think that we're doing something personal, at any given moment, we have to act and we have to engage the community. I admire your years of service, and it was a privilege to serve with you both within this council. It was a privilege to serve Councilor Vasquez as a school committee member for the Arlington District, and both within as a school committee member and as a member of this body. I saw your advocacy to the Arlington District, to the district that you represent, in particular the Arlington District, which is, I think, a district that needs a lot of representation and a lot of advocates, and you were always seen as someone that was a fighter for them. So I want to thank you for that, and I also want to thank you for the last year of service that you've given as being mayor. I think that, being mayor is a very, very hard job. I remember when I was talking to you over the phone, I'm like, oh man, like I wouldn't wish being mayor on anybody, because that seems tough, and you took it on and you did an amazing job. So I want to thank you for that, Councilor Abdu. The same goes to you. I'm sure that we'll be seeing both of you at some point or another. And I wish you luck as you guys take this great deserved break before you guys come back and serve our community in any way that you guys please. I think you guys left here with you guys, a lot of brothers and sisters that are sitting in this chair, and we are grateful for your work, and please let us know how we can further support. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Reyes?
Councilor Payano, thank you. I want to say thank you too, because Councilor Abdu also is my councilor district. And we working together for a long time before I be college. Thank you for your dedication. Thank you for being always for our district. I appreciate you are learning a lot from you on these almost 2 years. My President Vasquez, you know you are very special to me. I want to say thank you for your dedication. Thank you for being on the top through this pandemic. It's very important to us. It's very important to our community. Your dedication, your commitment for our city, we appreciate.
Thank you.
What my colleagues say, it's not ending today. It's moving forward.
Thank you. Okay. Council Vice President.
Council President, with your permission, I'd like to invite you to the podium. And as I look around to figure out who's the most senior person, oddly enough, it's Mr. Abdu. So if you wouldn't mind joining me at the podium, and perhaps you can give the gavel to Mr. Abdu, would you be willing to do that for a presentation?
Let's do it.
I told you guys he wasn't going to give it back. Council President, thank you for all your service. You've been a city councilor for 10 years. Part of that was in the mayor's office. You were called to serve, and you served. We thank you for the work, for the camaraderie, the leadership that you have provided to this council. It's not easy being the council president to steer this ship. It goes in a lot of different directions, but you have somehow managed during your time here to keep it as straight as we can possibly get to the goal. You allowed people to speak. You allowed people to give their thoughts. You were fair. You were courteous. You were respectful. That's what we're looking for in a leadership, and you were able to provide that to this body. And for that, we are extremely grateful. This council got together and we wanted to make sure that we have a little something to send you off with that you can put on your wall. And we want to thank you for your contributions, and I hope that this right here will find a place on some wall, some office, somewhere, and that you can look on it with pride. Thank you very much, Council President.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilors, I would like to take this opportunity to say very humbly that this has been the biggest honor of my life. Serving the city of Lawrence has been the biggest honor of my life. I started this fight in the year of 2012 when I first became a city councilor representing the Arlington neighborhood and Upper Tower Hill. District C, a district that has been my home ever since I came to the city of Lawrence as a 13-year-old. I fought to make significant changes, long-lasting changes in the city, including but not limited to a foreclosure prevention ordinance, which ensure that our residents will not lose their homes here because of predatory lenders in our community. But not only that, we fought to bring LED lighting to the city. We just voted on something to expand the need for repairs, but this is an idea that I brought back about 6 years ago. In addition to it, we also passed ordinances that have a daily impact on the lives of the residents that we serve to ensure a better quality of life for them. The blue lights that we today use was also an idea presented by this individual right here. I brought this up to the mayor at the time, Mayor Rivera. We had a conversation, there was some funding available, and he respectfully asked me how we could use the funding. I had done some research on this to be able to better inform residents about, the winter parking ban, and I am grateful that he implemented it. So those are the changes that we're here to make. I had to step up to the plate when there was a time of need in our city and serve in unprecedented times in the middle of a global pandemic. And I am proud of what we accomplished together. We did a lot of work to vaccinate our community members. We did a lot of work to ensure that our business community continues to be thriving during that difficult time. And I am grateful to each and every one of you for the support you provided me during that one-year period. Serving has been the biggest honor of my life, and I wish you continued success. I want the city of Lawrence to continue to move in the right direction. Please, every vote you take, do it because you're aware of what you're voting on. Don't do it because of political favoritism. This is not what the city should be about. Do it because you believe in something. Do it because you're going to improve the lives of the residents we serve. Lawrence needs you now more than ever. So, tonight, my last day serving. But guess what? Not the last night you'll see me around. So, I look forward to working with you at a different capacity now as I go back to being a private citizen after 10 years. And with all honesty, it feels great because now I have time to dedicate to my family, to our business, and do great things that I probably didn't do as an elected official. So thank you for the opportunity. Thank you to all the residents in the city of Lawrence for the support you've provided in the last 10 years. God bless the city of Lawrence and God bless each of you.
Where's my phone? He has an extra gavel. Now sit down. Would Dave Abdu please come up? What a decent guy you are. Council President, we are losing some tremendous people, not only yourself. Your absence is going to be a loss to the City Council. And in that same spirit, having Councilor Abdu, which is not his first time leaving the city council, I might add, leave us again to do the things that he wants and needs to do. But his life is a life of public service, whether it's public service in the military, whether it's public service for the federal government, whether it's public service in the State House, whether it's public service working for perhaps the MBTA or other agencies. Public service here in our city, boards and commissions, planning boards, for example. Councilor Abdu is a gentleman who embodies and identifies as a public servant, and for that reason, we as a city are much better with his presence and with his advocacy and with this effort. We as a city are a better city with Dave Abdu as one of our residents. And not only one of our residents, but one of our residents who decides to step up to do the things that he sees that he can represent his neighbors and his cities. It's going to be a loss. Each one of us, I think, have a personal relationship with both gentlemen, and especially with Councilor Abdu, whether he comes in with a bright smile and a joke, the Christmas stuff that he gives today, the small touches that he does, the personable stuff, a guy who's amazingly busy but will give you the shirt off his back and the time that he has to provide whatever kind of assistance, discussions, or whatever it is. It's an individual who we are, again, to repeat, we are lucky to have. This is, again, Mr. Abdu, this is a small plaque that I hope that you will find some space somewhere in an office, perhaps in your house, somewhere where you'll put this with some pride. We, I think, as a body have enjoyed working with you. We benefited from you, and we're definitely going to miss what you bring to our table, both professionally and personally. Thank you so much, Counselor.
Is it on or do I have to hold it? You would think after 8 years, one would know how the microphone works, but it's humbling, Mark's words on all of your behalf. And earlier this evening, moments ago, that is what you look at the dates. The date hasn't happened yet. It's next week, but it's the relationships. And that is what I'm going to miss most. Each and every one of you, I look at Selena, I think of Coolidge Street, right? I look at Kendris, I remember first campaigns I met him on, Pavel, over a decade ago. Maria, I remember times outside sales. Giovanni, we went to a ball game, your first night elected, your first night on the council, and I can go on. And for those of our members that are not with us this evening, right? I'd lead with Roger Toomey. I think most of us got to serve at Mr. Toomey, and it was an honor. He set the tone for all of us, respecting one another, respecting our priorities, Robert's rules. He was the true gentleman, and I tried to model my behavior on Councilor Toomey's in a lot of ways. And if indulge me for a moment to reflect back, I mean, I sat there in 2007 for the first time, and I sat next to Frank Moran, who we all know now as Leader Moran, right? He's done very well for himself since that day he sat where Councilor Reyes is sitting, and it has truly been my honor to serve with each and every one of you and your predecessors in your respective seats. And just to take it a step further, we've all got a lot of personal connections, and whether it was because of campaigns or not, or just Councilor LaPlante and our kids have grown up together doing scouts. Even though it was in District F, it worked out, right? That was just my opportunity to bust his chops. But whether it be beyond soccer or baseball or softball, Giovanni, our kids played together at the ballpark. And for me, this was a culmination to bring a lot of things together. And the ability to serve 15,000 people, in the case of a district council, 15,000 people, it has been an honor. And I don't think I knew when I signed up for the second tour of duty that we would face the gas explosions of 2018. But once again, it gave the opportunity to serve, for which I was thankful. It was long days. You know, I see Ms. Frazier a couple rows back. I remember seeing her at the Arlington School. I saw Pavel working, I don't know if it was the Red Cross or with the schools, but each and every one of you were doing something, and that wasn't what necessarily we were specifically elected to do, but we all stepped into the breach and did whatever needed to be done, whether it was drive people to Central Catholic for showers, whether it was keep the Arlington School running, whatever the case may be. That was a bad time. But looking back, we got to serve in ways that isn't in the job description. And in a lot of ways, service in Lawrence, a lot of what we do is not in the job description. And it, you know, Councilor Payano talked to, or maybe it was Councilor Rodriguez talked about the part-time job. This is, we all know, far more than a part-time job. But that's okay, because often it's not a job. It's meeting people, listening to them, hearing what their priorities are, and then making sure government works. And in Lawrence, that can be a challenge sometimes, right? Make sure our government is accountable to the people that fund it, the people that rely upon it, and a lot of vulnerable people depend on our city in services, and that's up to us. And I'll just conclude my thoughts by that has truly been the honor, to be able to serve with you, the people that we represent, and know that we stand on the shoulders of people. In my case, you know, Councilor Brunel was here earlier. She preceded me. Gil Frechette, Joe Quattroni, Norman Letourneau. Those were the people that have served District E in my lifetime. And Joe Quattroni, I'm sorry, President Quattroni. I meet him for coffee often, and I think I owe him a second coffee now. Thanks, Mark. But I learned from each and every one of them, and it's truly been an honor. And I want to thank all of you for the kind words this evening. I'm not going anywhere, Maria. I'm going to sit right here next to Mr. Molly. Maybe not every Tuesday, but and I want to note Brenda, Rosie, and Katie, who's not here tonight, from the Mount Vernon Neighborhood Association. I've leaned on them a lot. In South Lawrence West, we are blessed, as the at-large councilors know, by two very strong neighborhood associations. I don't think Brenda's missed but one or two meetings since COVID, and she had a robust meeting last week, and I look forward to being at your next meeting as a citizen, and I look forward to serving again sometime in the future in a different capacity, and I just, again, want to say thank you for the kind words. Thank you for the collaboration and collegial atmosphere over most of the last several years. And may God bless the city of Lawrence, and God bless the next council. I wish my successor, Stephanie Infante, all of the best. And I wish, Ms. Delazar here, I wish you the best. It's a pretty cool gig. You're going to enjoy it. And lastly, I promise this is it, I want to thank Stephanie Abdu and Michael and Elizabeth, my kids. I'm not home a lot because I have a day job that is sometimes a little beyond the job description, kind of like your job. And they've been there every step of the way through elections and I often tell people the elections are the easy part. It's the 2 years in between doing your job. And so they've been there all the way. And I just want to say thank you, and I love you to them. And I wish you all well. So, Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Councilor Abdu, thank you. And Councilor Plant, I hope you baked these yourself. You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Even better, my wife did.
Okay, there we go.
Mr. President,
Councilor Abdu,
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn has been made,
Second,
and I second it.
Oh, there we go. Perfect.
The motion has been properly made, it's been properly seconded by the council president. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Do it, the ayes have it. We're adjourned. Thank you, guys and ladies.
Before all of you people